The July 18th, 2016 meeting of the Public Safety Committee will now come to order. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Alcoffer? Here. Ms. Boyce? Here. Mrs. Conley? Here. Mr. Delahanty? Here. Ms. Harris? Here. Chairman Michike?
Yeah, here.
Mr. Morelli? Here. Mr. Shepard? Here. Mr. Terp?
Here. Is there anyone signed up for public forum?
There's not.
Is there anyone present who is not signed up to speak who would like to address this committee at this time? Seeing none, the next item on the agenda is the approval of minutes. You have the June 27th, 2016 minutes before you. They will stand approved unless the clerk is notified of any changes by the end of the day. Next item on the agenda is new business.
Referral 16-0222.
Moved by Legislator Boyce. Second by Legislator Conley. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Referral 16-0223.
Moved by Legislator Conley. Second by Legislator Alcoffer. Is there any discussion? Legislator Shepard.
Chair, what determines if a defendant is qualified to be released to an ATI program?
Chair, Bob Burns from the Office of Probation and Community Corrections. Could the legislator repeat the question and make sure I answer it correctly?
What determines a defendant is qualified to be released into an ATI program?
Through the chair, there's no specific qualification. There are certain, again, these are primarily unsentenced individuals, so they're not convicted of a crime. Some charges do not allow for release or bail, but these are all, by and large, judicial decisions that are made based on a few items of criteria that the pretrial workers will assess as far as their stability in the community and so on. So there's no specific law other than those that are excluded.
Through the administration, through the chair, is there any data that shows the success of the program?
Through the chair, the data that on again, these are three separate programs, but by and large, the purpose of these ATI grants are to provide some control over local jail costs. The fact that our jail has remained at a pretty steady number for the number of years we've received ATI money as our primary standard to show success. And then those who are in these programs are all succeeding in the 80%, 85 percentile of successful outcomes.
Legislator Boyce?
Yes, through the chair. Could you tell me, Mr. Burns, is the acceptance of this grant and then their work plan based on the work that we do at the Criminal Justice Council?
Through the chair, the state requires that these plans and these monies that are earmarked have to be approved by and reviewed by the Monroe County Criminal Justice Council. In most counties, they're known as ATI boards. So this referral is in line with recommendations from Monroe County's Criminal Justice Council.
Thank you, Mr. Burns.
Legislator Conley.
Thank you. Through you to the administration. I was wondering if you could tell me the case managers in the enhanced pretrial program, what is a typical responsibility level for case managers? What is their daily activities in terms of dealing with pretrial defendants?
Through the chair, the case managers act similar to probation officers, although they don't do field work, they don't have peace officer responsibilities. They are interviewing individuals, they're assessing their needs, making referrals for treatment, reminding people of their court appearances so they don't fail to appear. They're having dialogue with defense counsel if necessary, and just doing all they can to keep them out of trouble while they're on the street.
Thank you. As a follow-up, do the case managers in enhanced pretrial provide any written reports to the courts with respect to the defendants?
Through the chair, I can check for specifics, but yes, they do. They sometimes will report to the court and defense counsel and the prosecutor, but there are number of written reports on outcomes, yes.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Referral 16-0224, authorize an
Moves by legislator Elkoffer, second by legislator Turp. Is there any discussion? Legislator Morelli, I couldn't think of your name.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you to the administration. Can the administration just describe how successful this program is in keeping high-risk adult and juvenile probationers from returning to jail?
Through the chair, the primary responsibility of the night watch team, and that's a probation officer and a Rochester police officer, is to enforce curfews. And in our last year's data, I can give you a number of curfews and a number of violations that were found, and they're quite successful. 1,774 curfew checks, so the team is entering homes looking for people who are supposed to be home at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, whatever the judge orders. Of that 1,774, 376 violations were found. So these are high-risk, gang-involved, gun-convicted young people in our community. And when they know that a probation and a police officer are going to be checking on them, they are by and large compliant. So the success is pretty standard year after year.
Thank you. Notice that we're contracting for $81,070 and appropriating only $61,448. What is the difference in those? Well, I know what the difference is. $19,622. What is the reason for the differences? I think how it should be asked through the chair.
Through the chair, that dollar amount will simply adjust this year's operating budget 2016 to the amount needed. The grant year goes into 2017.
So through the chair, so the 61,448 is just for 16, and then the remainder is for 17. Is that correct?
Through the chair, that's correct.
Thank you.
Is there any other discussion? Legislator Conley.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, to the administration, the juvenile probation officer or the juvenile probationers, does that constitute children who are convicted of or adjudicated juvenile delinquents, or does it specifically deal with 13, 14, and 15-year-olds who have been convicted as juvenile offenders?
Through the chair, they're not juvenile offenders. That's a very specific category. They are primarily youthful offenders, young offenders convicted in our city court, town courts, or superior courts. A few are juvenile delinquents adjudicated in our family court, but by and large, our gang-involved individuals are over the age of 16, so they're involved in criminal court.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Referral 16-0225,
Moved by legislator Turp, second by legislator Delahanty. Is there any discussion? Legislator Morelli.
Through you to the administration, the BOCES won sort of several school districts. So will this officer be stationed in one district or one specific school?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I'm Michelle Crane, counsel to Sheriff O'Flynn. They're actually stationed at the BOCES 1 school in Fairport.
Okay. And through you to the administration, if this should something be required where the officer needs to leave, is the officer allowed to leave the site, or is the officer to remain at all times?
Through you to the administration, I believe under certain circumstances, if the officer is needed for an emergency type situation, the deputy, he would be allowed to leave. I think the sheriff would work in conjunction with BOCES 1 to arrange for that.
Thank you.
Legislator Conley.
Through the chair to the administration, is the the sheriff's employee given special training on students with disabilities and students with individual education plans that are attending the BOCES program?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I'm not actually certain of that. I don't think that the deputy would be involved in IEPs. That would certainly be private and privileged information. There may be some additional training, but I'd have to get back to you. I don't know.
As a follow-up through the chair to the administration, do you know if the sheriff's deputy that's assigned to the BOCES school is the same deputy for the last 3 years, or is it a rotating deputy?
I don't know the answer to that question. I can get back to you if you like.
Please.
Through you, Mr. Chairman.
Through the chair, I would appreciate that information. Thank you.
Legislator Boyce.
Through the chair, as a follow-up question to Tommy's questioning, can you also find out if this SRO has been trained at trauma-informed care as well?
Legislator Boyce, your mic.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't want to touch this thing. It doesn't like me tonight. Through the chair, can you also follow up with a question with regards to trauma-informed care as well as training with regards to this SRO? As Ms. Connolly stated, most of these children, or a great percentage of these children, do have special needs and other things that might be, the deputy may be faced with on a regular basis. So it just might be, helpful to know if that's the case.
Through you, Mr. Chair. Yes, I will.
Thank you so much.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Referral 16-0226.
Moved by Legislator Boyce, second by Legislator Conley. Is there any discussion? Legislator Harris.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through the chair to the administration, what is the indigent caseload in Monroe County on average?
Through the chair, Tim Donner, Public Defender. Would the legislator mind repeating the question, please?
What is the indigent caseload in Monroe County on average?
The indigent caseloads for the attorneys in the Public Defender's Office, I can speak to, but certainly not for the Conflict Defender's Office. Currently in the Public Defender's Office, it would depend upon the bureau in which the attorney is assigned. In our town and village court bureau, their caseload on average is anywhere from 400 to 600 cases per year, depending on the rotation they're assigned to. In our Rochester City Court Bureau, and these are of course misdemeanor cases, the attorneys are carrying caseloads that vary anywhere from 500 to 600 cases, again, depending on the rotation they're assigned to. In our felony bureaus, the nonviolent felony attorneys carry on average 225 felony caseloads per year. In the violent felony bureau, they carry on average 90 to 100 cases per year, through the chair.
Through the chair to the administration, would you be able to get me the number at a later time, the conflict defender of provision of the indigent legal services numbers?
Through the chair, I can certainly request that the conflict defender, Mr. Nossi, provide that information. I'm sure he would.
Thank you very much. Through the chair to the administration, what type of investigative services are carried out through these two offices?
Through the chair, this grant partially funds the use of contract investigators in the Public Defender's Office that are assigned on a case-by-case basis if we need additional investigative services that our current investigative staff can't handle.
Thank you very much.
Is there any other discussion? Legislator Conley.
Is the funding specifically for the criminal divisions of the office, or does the family court division of your office receive any of this funding?
The funding that's, through the chair, the funding that is being provided under this particular non-competitive grant is all dedicated towards the criminal side of the Public Defender's Office, but for some of the ancillary expenses such as the investigative services, the training, and the mileage. Some of those funds will be used by our Family Court Bureau.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Are there any other matters to come before the committee? Seeing none, there being no other matters, the July 18th, 2018 meeting of the Public Safety Committee stands adjourned. The next meeting of the Public Safety Committee will be held on Monday, August 22nd, 2016 at 5:30 p.m.